What's going on, guys? I'm Vulkan, and today we are strapping on our tool belt and we're talking trade skills. Now, these are incredibly useful and they're critical to fully taking advantage of Lost Ark. So let's break down what these trade skills are and what they mean to you. So trade skills, or life skills as they're sometimes called, are the different gathering systems in Lost Ark. Now we have 6 of these guys in total. First up is foraging. So foraging is used to harvest plants and mushrooms and is incredibly useful to craft potions and bombs. Now foraging is going to be a great source of income early on because people will want potions, they'll want bombs, they can use these throughout the game into end game. So get to gathering these things up, then craft them to take advantage of an early market. Now, if you like chopping down trees, then logging is for you. This trade skill lets you gather timber, which can be used to upgrade your stronghold. Now, there are some other uses for it, but stronghold upgrades are the primary consumer of this material. Again, early on, people will want to upgrade their strongholds, so selling this might be a good source of income as well. Now, if banging on rocks is more of your thing, we do have mining available. Now, it does seem like people just love to mine, myself included. Mining, chopping trees, and fishing. Those are like the 3 things. So I guess a ton of us played old school RuneScape back in the day. But anyway, mining is the first trade skill that you're going to learn in Lost Ark, and it is super straightforward. You can mine various ores that range in rarity. Some, like iron ore and heavy iron ore, can be used to improve your stronghold, while others, like strong iron ore, can be used for better tools. Now fishing, this one is just like mining. It happens to be pretty simple. You sit in the same spot. It's actually the only trade skill where you can sit in the same spot and level it up. You're going to look for areas where fishing is available and then cast out your line. You're going to see a shiny kind of white fish approach your bobber. And once that bobber is right below the surface, you reel in your line and you catch the fish. Now these fish you catch can be used for crafting food, but you also have a chance at getting rare materials that can be used for other purposes. Now our next one is hunting, and this one is a pretty unique trade skill. You're going to hunt down game animals and then slay them with traps or use throwing knives to harvest their hide and meat. Now these can be used in crafting food and life gear. Lastly, we have excavating. This is basically a metal detector skill, right? You have a radar, you're going to search for nearby relics. Once you find them, you dig them up with a shovel, and these things can range from junk to uber rare toolkits. Now, these toolkits can be used to make extremely high tier tools. You can either consume them for yourself or sell them for a big payday. So that's a high overview of all the trade skills you're going to see in the game, but there is a lot more to this than just the basics. As you level up skills, you're going to unlock new mini games that'll grant even more materials or the ability to gather more rare materials as you level them up. Now, to build on this, you also need to make sure that your tools are taken care of and upgraded when possible. So Lost Ark is going to hand you some low quality tools right out of the gate to get you started, but a goal of yours should be to eventually upgrade these by either crafting some or purchasing better ones, because as they get more rare, they're going to come with better and better attributes. And these are either going to improve the way the tool functions or going to give you a higher yield on your harvest, which obviously becomes very impactful to improve your runs in Platinum Field or out in the world. You don't want to work harder, you want your tools to help you work smarter. So however, there is a caveat to this, right? An asterisk. This should be a balance. You don't want to use your top tier tools on low tier materials because tools will lose durability over time and they will need to be repaired at a repair vendor. Repairing them will restore some durability, but over time your maximum durability will slowly decrease, leaving you with less and less and less. This is why you need to save those top end tools for when you really need them. You can go to a tool vendor at any point in time and buy green tools. So it's very wise to just focus on greens while you're leveling up your trade skills. Those higher rarity tools will still be there by the time you need them, so don't feel like you have to rush out and grab them early on. So where can you find all of these materials to harvest and gather? Well, that depends on the zone that you're in, because certain areas will have different materials to harvest. When you're out in the world, right, you can find all sorts of cool stuff. But if you want to target something, you can open your overview map and you can hover over each area and you can see what resources are going to be available there. This is going to help you avoid kind of that wandering aimlessly through zones looking for something that might not actually be there. And to top that off, while you're out in the world, you're going to be slowly using up energy. Now, this is sort of like your limit for the day, right? You have an energy gauge as you go through and you're gathering resources, you're mining rocks, you're cutting down trees, you're going to be using up that energy. And eventually, you'll run out. Now, you will regain some over time. It is on a certain time interval, and there are potions that you can consume to restore some of that energy, but just know you can't just sit in the same spot if you're fishing or wander around and just farm endlessly without some extra help for your character. But by far the most effective way to gather resources is by doing platinum fields. This is a special zone that can be accessed from a capital hub, and it requires 1 ticket to enter. Now, this is really cool because you can actually bring friends along with you. This is a multiplayer area, so you want to bring other people that we can really capitalize on the opportunity and make the most out of every single ticket you have. Now, these entry tickets are found out in the world while doing trade skills. They're a random drop, so you can't really go buy them anywhere, so don't feel discouraged. You just need to go out and trade skill a little bit, and eventually one will fall into your lap. Now, the platinum field does have different tile sets, and each one is going to give you different resources. So you need to choose the one whose resources you need most. For instance, don't choose Kazara Gardens if you need foraging, because obviously it doesn't have foraging. So this is something that you need to pay attention to and not just click on one and go. Now, once you're inside platinum fields, a 15-minute timer will start, and you're going to see a ton of crafting resources to harvest. And these are going to range in different tiers, and if you aren't a higher enough level or haven't unlocked something, you won't be able to harvest those materials. For instance, if you're not level 10 in foraging, you can't pick the mushrooms that you'll find there. So you want to make sure to spend time out in the actual world leveling up your skills. That way, once you get in here, you can actually get everything that's available rather than having to leave stuff behind. Now, this is a really good time to talk about that experience, right? Platinum fields do not reward any trade skill experience, but they also don't consume any energy. So really the main focus here is just the materials. So don't go into this thinking it's a way to supercharge your level. Instead, think of it as a way to supercharge your inventory. So anyway, let's go ahead and get back to the field and what you're going to be doing there. So as you're out gathering resources, you're going to see random item drops as well. So you're cutting a tree, the tree falls down, you have a big thing of lumber, and you need to take this back to where you started. So you pick it up and you return them to the start and you earn a buff. Once you return enough, you'll eventually open up secret passageways that are full of rare resources, and usually they're really light on enemies. Because outside of these passageways, the platinum field does have enemies that are going to give you, I'm not gonna say a hard time, they're gonna be more annoying than anything. And you wanna make sure you take care of these, because if you don't and you're by yourself, when you pick up those items to run back to the start and you get hit multiple times, you'll drop that item and it'll disappear and you'll lose potentially a buff. So this is something you want to make sure you take care of. Don't just kind of push them off to the side and be okay with the damage you take, because clearing these out is going to pay dividends later on. But this is just another reason why you need to bring friends. That way you can share the map to gather all of the resources, but also be able to stack up these buffs quickly, which will give you things like increased movement speed and spawn new resources on the map. It really is a big team effort. Now, if you don't have anybody else to go in, it's not like you're going to be at a significant disadvantage by going in solo, but it just makes everything a little bit more efficient, and you're going to get a higher yield if you go in a party. Now, once the timer runs out in the platinum fields, your run will end and you will be rewarded with some packs of crafting materials. So you don't leave empty-handed, so you can't really complain about that. So overall, platinum fields are insane for quickly building up your resource inventory, and honestly, it's a pretty fun time too. I had a good time going through it. But remember, these do not replace the fact that you do need to run through the zones and level up your trade skills, because again, they don't provide experience and they don't consume any energy. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about next. So leveling up your trade skills. So as you perform these skills out in the world, you're going to slowly earn experience. And then once you reach a certain amount, you're going to gain a level. But it's not just for show, right? It's not just, oh man, I'm level 10 foraging, this is a big deal. It's not that. At certain levels, you're going to unlock new effects. Like I said, being able to pick mushrooms at level 10 foraging, or activating the perfect zone buff for mining, which gives you kind of a little mini game to play while you're mining. If you press the action key in time, you'll get a perfect hit on the mining node and a chance to get rare crafting materials. So it makes the whole trade skill system more interactive. The more you engage with it and the higher you level these up, they're going to become more effective and more complex, ultimately resulting in more resources and honestly a better time. Like, it's boring just hitting a rock multiple times, but if you have like a little mini game that'll pop up, you know, kind of keeps you engaged. So I'm all about that. And folks, that wraps this one up. So that's a very high overview of Tradeskills and how they work in Lost Ark. So hopefully this was useful to you and gave you an idea of how these things work. That way, once the game comes out in the West, you're able to hit the ground running. Will there be more to learn? Absolutely. Will there be, you know, different ways of going and doing things? Of course there will be. But I really hope that, again, this just kind of gave you a little bit of insight into how this system works. And last but not least, if you are looking for a guild for Lost Ark, feel free to join our Discord. We're currently recruiting. It's not anything crazy. We don't have like strict requirements or anything like that. We're just a bunch of people looking to have a great time in Lost Ark. But that's the thing. We don't just play Lost Ark. We're also looking at playing other action RPGs. I mean, if it drops loot, we're playing it. And we just passed over 1,500 members, I believe. So we're growing like crazy. Feel free to stop by, say hello. And if you're interested, you can join the guild. But as always, thank you so much for watching. This has been Vulkan, and I'll talk to you all next time.
Sound off one and all, everybody. Don't take what you openly handed. Reach up and grab the world by the hand and watch what comes along.